soon. I want to thank you for coming to the Nonprofit Exchange today. I think it's going to be a wonderful program. We're going to start out with, we were very fortunate to have Susan Wilmink, who is the Development Director of Keep Rockland Beautiful, who is going to be moderating our event with Sister Peggy Scarano. Sister Peggy Scarano is the regional representative for a national nonprofit known as Support Our Religious. And she's also a Board of Trustees member and a graduate of STAC. Don't tell them you. From not so long ago. So I'm going to turn the event over to Sister Peggy and Susan Wilmink, and hopefully you guys will learn a lot of great stuff today. Thank you.
Along with Maureen, I would just like to welcome you. This is the third year that we're doing nonprofit forums. Something that I spoke with, if you're around long enough and any of you remember Rachel Jakowitz, I spoke with her about doing this. We've done them in classes, out of classes. You know that food that just left that table, sometimes we did it providing a meal. And the purpose of it is to give you some information about nonprofits versus that for-profit world, and really some of the advantages of working for a nonprofit, more so setting up as you're going through your years here at STAC, the possibility of some internships. And there's someone who's sitting on our panel who did an internship at one of the nonprofits here in Rockland County, which led to a job. Right, a position at the particular nonprofits. So that's kind of the overview of what we're going to be going through. We have three panelists. Susan Wilmink will also be telling a little bit about her background and how she got to Keep Rockland Beautiful. I'll pipe in with a little bit of my background of not only being a Dominican sister at Spark Hill, our mother house is at the other side of the campus, for the past, I'm not going to tell you how many years, 52 actually. And all of my involvement in the nonprofit world, and my involvement with many of the nonprofits here in Rockland County, and now the national one that I am working for. So, what we have done is we have asked our three panelists and to respond to these words, these questions. What are you currently doing? Where are you working? Why did you choose this profession or organization that you're working for? How important do you think internships are in finding the right career? Why did you choose nonprofits? How do your personal values tie into what you're doing? And here's the first question of the afternoon. Does anyone know what St. Thomas Aquinas College's motto is or mission? Anybody? Enlighten the mind through truth. Have you ever seen those words around campus? Do you recall reading them when you thought about coming to STAC? Have they ever been mentioned to you in any of the classes that you've taken? Okay, so what is it? It's enlighten the mind through truth. All right, so we're trying to, during your years here at STAC, to really enlighten your mind to a wide variety of courses and opportunities that you have during your 4 years here. And then the last question, can you talk about how your major has helped you in your current field? All right, so I'm just going to ask Susan. Susan, could you just give a little bit of your background?
Yeah, you want me to sit here or
Doesn't
is
matter.
that okay? Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah.
I am the development officer for Keep Rockland Beautiful, which is a local nonprofit that focuses on environmental education in schools and sort of mass cleanups and getting involved with municipalities to do beautification projects, sort of rallying volunteers to get people out and about and sort of connect with their local ecology and environment. that was a long way to get to this place, and I studied actually in Washington, D.C. I went to the university there, and it was interesting. The role of internships at that time helped me both focus on what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. So I had an internship, and I worked for a senator for the U.S., and I kind of realized, I don't think I want to go into the political field. And then I worked for a publishing house, and I ended up doing magazine publishing. Well, I started doing book publishing there, which led to magazine publishing, which led to my sort of job before I became, sort of trailed into this. The role of the internship was so critical to get a sense of what kind of workplace I was looking for, what kind of a team I wanted, what kind of topic I wanted to focus on, and so I would urge you all to, while you're in college, to really sort of consider that as something that should be sort of a component of every semester, really. You can switch it up. There's so many organizations, there are so many nonprofits that are looking for help in so many different aspects. We at Keep Rockland Beautiful, we look for people who can help with the actual sort of volunteering. So many of you have come out for cleanups and done some of the actual sort of hands-on work. But we also have work in the office that needs help with. We need computer assistance. We do a lot of social media. We do what breaks down to marketing and communication work. So if you're studying something, you'd be surprised at where it might fit and be helpful for a nonprofit. And your work there doesn't have to be sort of an end game necessarily. It might not necessarily lead to the ultimate job there. We have a very tiny organization, so the chances that you might end up there, it's pretty small. We only have 2.75 people actually working. So it's all kind of like a stitched together group of part-timers, and there's only one full-timer, so the fact that you probably won't replace her, she's our executive director. But at the same time, the work that goes on there might be sort of a way to sort of refine what you want to do, as well as might lead to connections that lead to what you want to do. And we have the advantage of being sort of plugged in with so many companies and so many organizations and so many public and private groups that are, sort of doing the work that we do. We're connected with schools, we're connected with government groups, so like the town of Clarkstown. We know everybody there because they help us pick up the trash and they help us do this, that, and the other. We're always in communication. So, I mean, it's using that as a sort of a connectivity tool. And so I would definitely say that the internships led me on that sort of a skipping path, and so that you might want to consider it that way, that it's sort of it's not necessarily the end game, but it is something that you might want to look at. And the nonprofits here are so varied in the county. It's one of the most, we have a very small county and a lot of nonprofits that are here. And so it's a valuable way to be connected with a lot of other different people and organizations.
Just to tag on to what Susan just said, there are a lot, here in Rockland County, there's over 600 nonprofits. Now that includes all of the churches, the schools, the synagogues, but there's a lot of agencies that offer various types of services. And if you were to just Google nonprofits in whatever area that you're living in, when you go home or up here in the county, if you live here in Rockland County, in Bergen County, in Orange, in Westchester, there's a lot of different nonprofits. And we could help you, Maureen definitely, and Mary Boder is sitting in the back there, to try to make some contacts. I think you've been told the more that is on your resume, when you finally get to the point of looking for that full-time job. How many of you are seniors? Yeah. So reality is going to hit you come next May when your parents turn around and say, okay, now what are you going to do, right? Okay, look at that, you're smart. But the thing is that the more that you can get onto your resume and more connected, and as Susan said, the nonprofit world has a lot of connections with the for-profit world, because it is the for-profit that really supports a lot of the nonprofit organizations. Government agencies also support them, but we're talking about like the banks and different real estate agencies. There's a lot of places that you could be put in contact with. Now, my history with the nonprofits, obviously being a Dominican sister, I belong to a nonprofit, the Dominican Sisters of Sparkhill. During the course of my career, I've been a classroom teacher, I've been a principal of a grade school, and then 30 years ago, got involved in the ministry, and I do call it a ministry, of fundraising. 28 years of those was for my own congregation, raising money for both our ministry and our retired sisters. And 2 years ago, a job opportunity came along that put me into a national organization. Our main headquarters are down in Washington, D.C. I work from home up here in Rockland County, but the main office is down in D.C. And we're raising money that benefits the retired and infirmed members of Catholic religious men's and women's communities throughout the country. So I get the opportunity to go talk to people and invite them to give to, the name of the organization is Support Our Aging Religious, the acronym is SOAR, and just tell them about the different grants that we give out, the emergency funds, other funds that we're trying to build up to benefit retired and infirmed priests, sisters, and brothers throughout the country. So that's a nonprofit, and what drew me to them is definitely their mission, because their mission is to help aging religious. Just like our mission, the sisters' mission, to go out and to really respond to the needs of people of all ages, both here in our country to our mission in Pakistan. So that's another thing, when you're looking at the nonprofit or when you're looking at a job for the future, what is it about the place that you're thinking of applying to that's attracting you to their mission? Okay? Now, we have 3 panelists, and I thank Dr. Wagner and Dr. Schultz for getting them for us. And if you could introduce our 3 panelists.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Schultz, and so I just want to introduce 3 particular special panelists in that they are alum, STAC alum, and so part of what they're going to be able to talk to you today about is their experiences as undergraduates here and the transition from college then into working for the nonprofit sector. So I'll introduce all 3 of them and then have them come up and talk about their experiences. So Carissa Rivera graduated in 2014 with a BS in psychology. Hi, Carissa. BS in psychology from STAC. And she's currently studying forensic psychology at the master's level at John Jay. She's a primary counselor specializing in the mentally ill chemical abuser population. Is that MICA?
Yes.
MICA, in the MICA population. And that's Argus Community?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. So that's Carissa, and then you're going to hear from Nicole Devivo. Hi, Nicole. Nicole studied at STAC and graduated in 2014, also with a BS in psychology. She's currently studying social work at the master's level at NYU as a recreational therapist. Is that right? Yeah. At the Helen Hospital. All right, and then last but not least is a student I know rather well. This is Melissa Place, who graduated from STAC with a degree in English in 2015. And she now works as the grants manager at the Center for Safety and Change. So you're going to hear some experiences from psych majors and English majors, all of you who sort of wonder maybe what you might be doing with your major. I think this might be a helpful conversation to think about how to put that major into good use.
Hi everyone, how's everyone doing today? Good. So I'm Carissa Rivera. I graduated from STAC in 2014 with a psychology degree. Right after that, a few months after that, I began my master's degree at John Jay College in Manhattan. As part of the program at John Jay for forensic mental health counseling, you have to do an internship. So I began interning at Argus Community in January. February, exactly a month after I started interning, I got hired full-time as a primary counselor. So basically what my duties are, I do group and individual counseling with clients. All my clients are on the MICA track, meaning they have comorbid mental health disorder as well as substance use disorder. It was, that whole month was kind of like a whirlwind of starting the internship and then, a job opening and, getting hired in there right away. But, I moved fast, got in there, and started off strong. I think, in undergrad as well as if you're planning on going to grad school, internships are extremely important. They might not always lead to employment, but they open the right doors. So, having an internship on your resume, having connections with your internship to other doors that might open other places of employment, things like that is really helpful. And internships are also helpful when, if you decide you might not like what you're doing and you want to try something new. Choosing a not-for-profit, a few years ago, I was actually sitting exactly where you are. I think at the first panel with Sister Peggy, and hearing all the nonprofit speakers, it seemed really interesting. And I've always been interested in volunteer work. I was in Spartan Volunteers here and APO here, so continuing on that kind of work in my career was extremely important to me. As far as enlightening the mind through truth, I believe a lot in social justice and in ending the stigma for mental health, in using rehabilitation instead of punishment when it comes to substance use. So those are things I'm really working for in my field, and it's amazing seeing the changes going on both in my job and in the world. And as far as psychology, getting my degree here, on a daily basis, I'm using what I learned at STAC in my job, whether it be different practices, how to handle clients with mental health disorders, what styles of psychology are useful, dealing with certain clients.
Still with us here? So my name is Nicole, and I graduated in 2014. I graduated with a BS in psychology, and I also minored in recreational therapy. I recommend that for some of you who are new, looking into a minor really kind of opens up a lot of pathways with jobs, with internships, so it's something you might want to keep in mind. So what am I currently doing? I work as a recreational therapist at Helen Hospital, and Helen helps with a lot of patients who have spinal cord injuries. They have had stroke, traumatic brain injuries, and also hip fractures, knee replacements. So a lot of these patients are really going through a difficult time. Now, what does a recreational therapist do? So I have such a fun job. It is amazing. I get to plan a lot of patient parties, so they will come with their families. We just had an Oktoberfest party where we had a lot of patients finally come out of the room. A great thing that a recreational therapist does is we offer a lot of our unit game nights, so patients can come down and kind of say, hey, I found another patient kind of going through something similar. We have support groups, which I've been able to run. We also do just a lot of holiday parties, and it's a great experience. I actually started out as an intern, and I just remember Dr. Wagner played such an important role in my time here, and it's really important, reach out to your advisors, go to them, because if you come with them with a list of places you might be interested in, you could land a job. It happened for me, and I have to say that there's also going to be internships where you're like, hey, you know what, this isn't for me, and that's okay, because at first I started out interning with a neuropsychologist, and I found out, you know what, this is not for me, and that's okay. So it all happened where I actually ran into a former professor from STAC at Helen, and she knew that I was a minor in recreational therapy, so I actually was able to land a job with just my minor. And also, it's just very important. An internship really gives you a chance to figure it out, to look at something, to say, is this for me? Can I see myself doing this in a few years? And I have to say that I know what it's like to be there, to be sitting where you guys are, and just go with what you enjoy. There's so many options out there, and I have to say that when you really like where you are, you get to be, in my job, I get to be a part of people's recovery. It has a great impact on my life, and actually now I'm currently receiving my master's through the NYU program here and doing internships as well. So having that background, even if you're volunteering, doing something in the community, they look at your resumes. They definitely look at them, I can tell you that. So just get out there, even if making phone calls, going to the facility, asking them, what can I do? Do you guys take volunteers? I know I take volunteers, so if you're looking to come to L.L.C's, speak to me after. If you like working with patients, if you have an interest in clinical, any kind of therapeutic work, this is a great facility, and STAC has a lot of great contacts here, so definitely reach out. Okay.
Hi, I'm Melissa Place. I graduated from STAC in 2015. I'm an English major. Right now, I currently work for the Center for Safety and Change, which is obviously a nonprofit that is dedicated to helping survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, stalking, and other crimes in Rockland County. We're the only agency of our kind in Rockland, which is really helpful for me as a grant manager. Point out why we're so unique. How many people here know what a grant is? Okay, that's normal, because as a junior, I didn't even know what a grant is or was, and now I write them. So a grant is usually a monetary award. It can come from private organizations, it can come from the local, state, federal governments, and this money is used to fund specific programs and services. So my job is to do a lot of research and find opportunities that align with what my organization does. After I find something that I think is a good fit, I have to make sure that there's nothing that's going to disqualify my organization, like where we're located or anything like that. Then I write the application. Sometimes it's really easy and it's quick, and sometimes it takes weeks to do. So not only do I write all of our current grants, not only do I write all new grants, but I also manage all of our current grants. So when you write a grant, you're making promises to funders that this is what we're going to do with your money, this is how many people we're going to help, these are the services we're going to provide. So my job is to make sure that staff are providing those services and we're meeting our numbers. Why did I choose this profession? Once I completed my internships, which I guess I'll tie both of these questions in at once. An internship is like the most important thing that you can do, in addition to doing well in school. But internships allow you to open your eyes to what you think that you want to do, and then determine, is this actually what I want to do? Or you might find that you think you want to do something. I have plenty of friends who went to school for sports medicine or psychology, and now they're either in a job that they don't like, or they're doing a job that has nothing to do with what they went to school for, and they're not happy. But I did 3 internships, and they were all for grant writing, and they all showed me this is really what I want to do. I interned at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, I interned at Good Shepherd Services in New York City, and I interned at the Arts Council of Rockland, all from my junior year on. And I was actually able to use those internships as credits for school, so that's also something that you can do. And once I finished my internships, I realized how important grant writers are to every single nonprofit, every single hospital, every single school. Organizations like that cannot function without grants.
Can I add on to that as well? Is that the trend has been too that companies that we used to have relationships with directly, so let's say a bank or a family or other people who were used to, as a development officer, would have the direct relationship with, they now often will put all their funds within you have to grant for them, you have to write a grant for them. So it's not so much that you happen to know the bank manager and the bank manager loves your organization and you end up with a big check at the end of the year, but rather now it's all through a process that's been put in place by most corporations where you have to apply for a grant. And these are often through national sources, so if you're applying for a grant, let's say from TD Bank or somebody like that, you're competing with a lot of other organizations, and each of their bank affiliates gets a certain amount, but the role of a grant writer and the role and the abilities of grant writers has gone up exponentially over the last few years. I know that grant writers here in the county, private grant writers earn a nice living for themselves just doing it as a shop, and they're very much in demand, the ones that are really effective and good, and it happens to also be the kind of career that you can also, it's very flexible, it offers a lot of flexibility. You can kind of be sitting on your couch and doing it, so it's a nice, or you can be sitting on a Mexican beach and doing it, nobody knows. So it's like the kind of thing, it's a very nice way to earn a living.
Exactly, and every single nonprofit needs one. So that made me feel like I was making a good decision, because it doesn't matter if I live here or Florida or California, there's nonprofits and they're going to need a grant writer. Why did I choose nonprofit? My mind actually became open to working for a nonprofit after I attended the nonprofit panel here. One of the speakers was Paul Trader. He's like a huge deal in the nonprofit world.
Yes, he is.
And when I've always been involved in nonprofits. I volunteered for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. My brother had cystic fibrosis, so I was always doing that kind of stuff, and I really liked it, but my fear was that I would be working and not making any money. But listening to Paul speak, it made me realize that people don't work for free in nonprofits. They make money, they make livings, and what I have seen in my experience in working at nonprofits is that everyone, for the most part, I don't think I've ever met anyone that didn't, but everyone loves their job. And that's a huge deal for me. I can't imagine waking up every morning and going to a job that I can't stand. I really do. Don't get me wrong, there's sometimes where I'm like, wow, today it's raining. I wish I could just watch TV all day. But then I don't mind being at work. The people that I work with are really dedicated to what they're doing, and it's just a really good environment to work in. Enlightening the mind through truth. As Sister said, at STAC, they want to expose you to a whole bunch of different things. At my agency, we work with, we have a human trafficking department. And before that, I had no idea that human trafficking was even a thing in Rockland County. But it is very prevalent. There's victims of human trafficking right here in the county. We have sexual assault, a forensic examiner, we have an emergency residential shelter, we have counseling services, we just have so many different things, and my mind has been open to things that I never knew before. And it really means a lot to me, being able to help make a difference in all these different areas in people's lives. And lastly, my major. I was an English major, which means there was a lot of reading, especially with Dr. Schultz, research and writing. And working with Dr. Schultz and all the other English teachers here, it really taught me how to analyze what I'm reading and formulate a good argument. And when I'm making my point, have information and stats that back it up. And that's what I do every single day. I need to prove to funders why you should either start funding us or why you need to keep funding us. And that's what keeps agencies like mine going.